We're late. Yeah, I'm late now, bugger. Oh, is that coming on? Good evening. I'm just pouring myself a drink. I've gone with the true alcoholic way of doing this, which is to have all the alcohol next to me so I don't even have to get up. Let me just grab a stirrer a second. Let's see what the kids have written on the board. That are the legends and Jonas smells. Hello, hey Laurie, how are you? Laurie, you're down south, aren't you? You're Southampton based. Am I right in thinking that? Have I imagined that, or is that right? Well, I've got a feeling you're Southampton based. Hello. Thank you, Teresa, for forgiving me. I'll be honest with you why I was late. I was setting the kids some sweets in their bed. So the kids have been pretty good today. I've kind of changed a few things about the way I'm doing stuff. When did I change it? Was it a week ago? I think it was last Thursday. Was it last Thursday? I think it was last Thursday. Had a bit of a change about the way that we were doing a few things. So to be honest, the last week has been so unstressful. Unstressful, is that the right word? It's just not been stressful at all, which has been absolutely lovely. So this evening, when they were having their dessert, I got a couple of Haribo cherries and I stuck them in a pot and I put them in their beds underneath their duvet. So that's why I'm running late. And I felt like I've let you all down the last 3 weeks, because I've been drinking tea for the last 3 weeks. And this evening I thought I would drink rum. So I'm back with rum. I've even brought the bottle with me. There's not much left. That's what happened at the weekend when my cousin came to visit. So that's what I'm doing. Bye, mate.
Thank you.
No worries.
We didn't mean to find our treats.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, go to bed. Do your teeth. Go to bed. I'll see you in a bit.
Well, you would have told us you would have got treats if you went out.
No, I think you'd have found them. Go to bed.
Yeah, I had to strip my whole bed to find them.
Go on, because I'm doing this.
And see how many people have joined you. 15 watchers so
Go to
far.
bed. Go on, go away. Go away. Hey, come on. Hop it. Jonah. Shut the door. Didn't even close the door. Oh, I'm missing all the comments. It's not scrolling again. Go to bed. I'm going to have to start doing Joy and Joel at 9 o'clock, I think, when the kids are in bed. I'm going to get annoyed with you. Shut the door, go to bed. Right. Sorry, everybody. Did I miss the excuse for tardiness? No, I was just doing a few bits for the kids. But anyway, I'm here now. What should we get onto today? Let's get straight stuck into it. Throw me anything you want to discuss, talk about. To be honest, I think I'm pretty happy to do anything this evening. So happy to talk about anything. I was just reading a piece from Harriet that she sent me, something in the paper. I think I mentioned last week, but both of our attractions, both of our attractions at Shrewsbury and Shepton are now Traveller's Choice awarded. So they're top 10% of attractions in the world, which is great. Is it just me, or is rum really easy to drink? I'm having spiced rum this evening as well. Right. So, anyone got anything particularly they want to hear about this evening? Be very quiet. I noticed this actually when I sat down, because I haven't been in my office today. And yeah, it's a message that said, Laurie, I'm coming down to Shepton. So if anyone's down in Shepton, I'm coming down to Shepton week after next. I'm not exactly sure which dates yet. I think I'm probably going to be down there Tuesday through to Friday. But I will be down there for a few days, certainly. Leanne's saying have a hard day. Do you know what? It's been really straightforward. It's been a lovely week. Like I said, I think I kind of hit a turning point on Thursday, just in general, just in life. and I kind of had some, I not guess realizations. I don't want to make it hugely dramatic, but I kind of got to a point where just things just suddenly clicked and it stopped. It was easier, and yeah, like it just suddenly things sort of clicked. And Friday was a good day last week. It was quite stressful throughout the day. I'm not going to talk too much about that. All to do with trying to purchase Shrewsbury and stuff. So that was a little bit stressful, but it worked out okay in the end. I had some family down over the weekend. My cousin and his wife were down, and then this week it's not been too bad. Monday. So the day off, Monday bank holiday. I finished the wall. Me and Emma finished the wall, so it's done. It looks bloody amazing, if I do say so myself. Even had enough time to chuck a couple more layers onto the dry stone wall, which looks great. Now I just need to get the patio sort of done, and that's that bit tucked away. So that's good. Tuesday I worked from home, so I worked in my office, and that was really useful because I just got loads done, and I was able to sort out, I departmentalize, as I call it, but I was able to basically pass a load of my roles onto other people, which has just given me kind of less to do on the day-to-day side of things, so I can spend more time on the strategies, the strategic side of the development, and in different projects. So that was really good. And the teams have been really thriving. They've been doing really, really well, from site managers all the way through their entire team, CSAs, tour guides, so on and so forth. So that's been great. It's a little bit quieter now. So I think Wednesday we kind of, I say going off the edge of a cliff, because it is like suddenly you'll have a few hundred people a day, and then suddenly you drop to like 60, and it just feels like so quiet, because when you go from 300 a day to 60, it's just such a strange one. So yeah, so it was that's kind of now the new rhythm for a couple of weeks, and obviously we'll have the weekends will still work. So let's pick up some of the comments, because I wanted to see what you guys wanted me to talk about tonight, really. Laurie, if you do come down on Thursday, you might like this one. On Thursday, so week Thursday, Stacey and Graham from Shrewsbury are also coming to Shepton, so they'll be there Thursday from about midday until about, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock on Friday morning. So yeah, Stacey and Graham are going to come down as well. They've both got some work to do, but Graham will be going on the tour with the tour guide. Stacey will be around all day, doing some work with some of the staff there, meeting some of the actors. I think all three of us are going to do the ghost tour in the evening. So if you wanted to meet Stacey and Graham and Joel, Shepton will be the place to be week Thursday, 2 weeks today. So that's quite cool. Leanne, you went camping. I bet that was busy, wasn't it? I bet there was lots of people. Let's just have a quick look. But yeah, I bet that was busy. Let's have a quick gander. Yeah, I bet that was a bit hectic. I did take Monday off Keeley, but I worked. I just worked at home. So, right. I am literally not going to talk about too much unless you guys have a particular subject you want me to go into. Teresa, I've met you all. You have, Teresa, you have. Let's check out this in the comments. Cool. Quiet one tonight. Don't know what to say. I'm unplanned, I'm unprepared, I'm unscripted. I'm literally going to stay in silence. People are going to come over and just like, what's going on? He's just not talking. It's unusual for me to have nothing to say. I think I'm going away in November still. It looks like, oh man, that's so bad. Sorry, I'm just seeing the. I was listening on the radio this morning about the Bridge North Cliff Railway, the face mask rule, where they discriminate it. Well, they're being they're being accused of discriminating against people with disabilities. So I'm just reading some of the comments. Louise. Oh, Lauren has Tuesdays off. Oh, I'm so sorry, but Lauren's off on Tuesdays. It's her day off generally. I don't know if she's on the 15th. I'd have to check, but normally that's a day off. Any more films or soaps doing any videoing in the prisons? Maybe. I'm not allowed to talk about. Oh, David, you picked a subject I can't discuss. I can't tell you yes or no. I can say no, there are not, and I might be telling the truth, I might not, but I couldn't say yes because I'm not allowed to. So yeah, I couldn't possibly comment on whether there's any productions coming in to the prison. Simon's asking how our visitor numbers are holding up. Well, they've dropped off now, which is what always happens after summer holidays with tourism, so that's expected. It's about where they peak really, and how we can and how we keep them going on sort of the weekends and stuff like that. I did have a cracking breakthrough today with Facebook, so I was really pleased about that with advertising. Just having a quick look. Diane, what's your programme about Broadmoor? This is my stirrer, by the way, for my rum. Maurice, found out the link with Paddington Bear last night. Do you want me to tell you about Paddington Bear? That was a contentious subject, shall we say, and I can probably talk about that because nobody from City and Country will watch this. So, and it's not derogatory to them. It's just the way it is, and plus the person that was dealing with it is now left. So I don't think it's a huge problem. But yeah, there is a bit of a story about Paddington 2, and the filming that happened at Shepton Mallet Prison, which is kind of just my life in prisons, really. Prison life is the way it goes in business. So I'll tell you about that in a second. Naomi Campbell has arrived. I'm sure she'll be dipping back out soon, and then we can talk about her again. No, Bridge North. So I listened to this on the radio this morning. So Bridge North Railway have basically put in a blanket rule. No, you have to wear a face mask or you're not coming on. The only exceptions are if you've got a doctor's note signed by your doctor, or they can visually see that you are disabled. Now, I would say that's a really, I'm not going to say brave, I'm going to say stupid. It's a big statement, this one. A really stupid move on their part. Firstly, because not all disabilities are visual, and secondly, not everyone's going to have a note from the doctor. And thirdly, I think you have to trust people to do the right thing. Like you have to. And as an attraction owner of 2 attractions that are in the top 10% of worldwide attractions, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So it's not just me saying this in my own, my own world. I know what I'm talking about. And I watched them, and I listened to the guy that owns it this morning, and they were talking about, he was being asked by BBC Shropshire as to why they're doing this. And he said, well, they had lanyards on, but his staff had been telling the general manager that people are buying the lanyards off the internet and wearing them so they don't have to wear face masks. And I thought, you know what, that's really extreme. I mean, we've seen thousands of people, like thousands and thousands, come through our attractions over the summer holidays, and I've not seen one person who looks like they faked something by buying something to fake it. To me, that seems really extreme. And also, and I love my team, I do, but there is this thing where somebody will say, oh, we've had loads of people saying this, and you dig into it, and actually loads of people is like 2 people. Like, so out of, again, hundreds of people that might come in through a day, 2 people might say something, and to a member of staff in an area, that might be loads of people, and that's the information that gets passed back. And you have to take that kind of with a bit of a pinch of salt. But you have to dig a bit further. If I listen to everything my staff said to me, like, we would run our business very, very differently. So anyway, so that's happened. And when he was asked, he said, well, he lives 220 miles away, so he hasn't got a clue whether it's right or not. He's just going with what the staff said. So because of this, they're just a blanket rule. They will not let people on. And I just thought it's a really silly move to make, because this is not the kind of PR you want. And to be honest, it's not the kind of attraction you want to be, to discriminate against people through disabilities. It doesn't ring. It seems silly to me. So the way we do this is, if you turn up at our attraction, we will ask you to wear a face covering. If you turn around and say you haven't got one, then we can sell them to you. We've got really cheap disposable ones. We've got really nice reusable ones, branded. They're lovely. But if you turn around and say we're exempt, we are going to take your word for it. We're not going to turn around and go, prove it. That's not our job. Our job is not to get you to prove it. Our job is to ensure that you have a good time and that you're safe, our staff are safe, and the other customers are safe. Now, if you're exempt, for whatever reason it might be, we are going to take your word for it. Now, yes, there is absolutely the possibility that some people will say they're exempt and they're not. But to be honest, you know, they're the people that are going to try and blag out of it anyway. So you're almost in a losing battle with that type of stuff. And the way I look at this is, face masks is about protecting you and protecting others. If you are wearing a face mask and somebody else is not, they are the ones that are not protected, not you. So if you're wearing a face mask, you're protected as much as you can be. It's the other people that aren't. And if you're on a guided tour, you will be requested to wear them, and the tour guide will obviously keep an eye on it. So to me, it just seems really silly, a really strange move from those guys. But sorry, I was very surprised that an organisation, especially because I posted. Well, I mean, they obviously don't read my post, but I put out on LinkedIn and Facebook this week a little video about how companies are going to get made examples of, and I think these guys could. They always say all publicity is good publicity. That ain't quite true. All publicity is good publicity, unless it's discrimination. That's not good publicity ever. And yeah, my sister's popped in to say you do have to now have to pay for doctor's notes, which I think is very true. Yeah, and there's Dennis saying that, yeah, exactly that. His doctor said you have to get a badge online because they don't do it. Maurice is saying he can't wear a face mask. How about visors? That's absolutely fine at our location. All of our tour guides have a choice. We provide them all with visors or face masks, and tour guides can choose. And most of our tour guides, I think it's only Mick that wears a mask. Everyone else wears a visor because they're talking so much. It's really hard. They're talking for 2 hours delivering tours, so they wear visors and they put those on. And there's certain areas as well that they can actually take the visors off, especially when they're outside. I think there's all the outside locations they can obviously take the visors off. And I think when they're in visits, I think the way the tour guide does it is he sits everyone really far away. He just lifts his visor up slightly and he can talk from quite far back. But you know, we're talking they're a good distance away. We're talking somewhere between sort of 10-15 meters. So it's a good distance. Yeah, I'll be honest. I hate wearing my visor, my face mask. I'll be brutally honest about it. I absolutely hate it. Firstly, I dislike the fact that it's not so much for choice, because I have to wear it inside, and I dislike anything that doesn't give an individual a choice. But I understand the reasons why, and it's uncomfortable. I talk a lot. Those people that know me, I don't know if my sister's still here. You guys will recognise I like to talk, and if you ever meet me one-on-one or anything like that in a prison, man, I could just chat for ages. Oh, sorry, Laurie. Hopefully, I should be back. So I'm not keen on wearing face masks, to be honest, but I do it because I recognise the reasons why. I understand the importance of it, and I like to set an example. But if I'm honest, when I go to the restaurant, I don't walk through the building that much anymore. I don't go through. Let's just check on back. I should be. I don't walk all the way through A wing. I walk around the back of the building. So I'm outside the whole time, so I don't have to wear my mask, and I'll just pop it on, just send it through the corridor into the restaurant. So that tends to be the way I do it. I assume I'm still live. Laurie says I've frozen, but still ticking up, so it should be fine. Hopefully everyone can still see and hear me. I'll wait for a quick comment. Yeah, Joel does talk. I'm going to talk about Paddington 2 for those of you interested in the it is about Paddington 2, but it's also about the journey for taking over Shepton and Gloucester. And as you know, I talk very openly about these things. I think, you know, I've got to a stage where I was sat in my marketing team today with the sales and marketing team, and funny enough, I was sat on the floor in the corner of the office. So I went in, and they were all in their own spaces and stuff, in their own areas, their own bubbles and things. So I sat just in the corner on the floor. So I'm just reading those. So I was doing that, and we were talking about different things, and I was saying about how something came up where I'd said this is exactly what was going to happen. It was a media thing. It was about Facebook advertising, and I got it 100% spot on, 100%. And my team was sort of saying, you know, yeah, you got that spot on, you know, well done. And I was being a bit cocky about it in my way, and they just laugh it off. That's just Joel, so just laugh it off. And I turned around and said, this is why other people find me really difficult, especially other business owners and stuff like that. They find me very difficult just because my approach. And my team were kind of like, again, laughing it off. And I said, well, look, the reality is I don't have to change. I'm quite happy with the way I am and the way I do things. And if other people don't like it, that's kind of for them, not for me. It was more about business. I was like, I run successful businesses. I run successful attractions. So I don't have to change the way I go about things, and the way that I put things forward to other people, and specifically other businesses and partners. And by that, I mean, I'm not cocky or arrogant. Sometimes it gets perceived like that. I just say I just say it as it is. I have a filter, but I choose how to process it. So if I see something I don't agree with, I'll just tell people. I'm not rude about it. I'm just to the point because I don't see the reason to mess around. So, and I think now we're in a situation where with Shepton and with Shrewsbury, they're both fantastic attractions, as I keep saying. They both really, really are. So, you know, we've got a lot of pedigree now. We've got a lot of clout to be able to say that we are experts in tourism, especially in dark tourism. And that enables me to now talk about the history and some of the relationships and some of the conversations that have happened in the past that have got me to where I am, whereas I wouldn't necessarily been able to explain those before because I wouldn't have potentially had the clout or the recognition, or at least being able to see that we are as good as we are, if that makes sense. Because until you actually prove it, it is just kind of cockiness. So that's why I feel I'm able to now talk about what I'm about to talk about without too many worries about any kind of kickback. And you'll see why in a second. I might need to pour another drink as I go. Sorry, I'm on it now. You've got me on it. Okay, oh, Laurie, you're in Reading today and thought of me immediately. Yeah, Reading's coming. Don't worry, Reading's coming. We'll see what happens with Reading, but hopefully I'm confident with Reading. Let's put it that way. But we'll see what happens. The MOJ still own it. We'll see how they how they get rid of it yet. How they sell it, who they sell it to, and we'll go from there. So when I took over Shepton and Gloucester. I think I've talked about bits of this before. Basically, I've been banging on City and Country's door since before they bought Shepton, since they were trying to. So I'd had a number of conversations with them in 2014. I think I first spoke with them, at the end of 2014. They bought the prison in early 2015. I had another conversation with them after they bought the prison. I went to a couple of consultations, still tried to pitch the idea of what I wanted to do, tried to make an interim, took over Shrewsbury, as you will know about, as I was running Shrewsbury. Still banging on the door of City and Country every few months. I just knock on, hey guys, like, you know, still interested, hey, check out what we're doing at Shrewsbury, I could be doing this at Shepton type of stuff, it would work really well for you. They just weren't interested, weren't interested. And then in 2016, December 2016, after we'd put in our financial accounts for 2015 for our first year, I was able to show them some actual figures and some projections, and that kind of got them to. I think it just tweaked their interest a little bit. And what happened was we had one of their junior staff who basically his job was to try and make money from the buildings pre-development. So between purchase to development, his job was to try and make as much money as they could in between. And predominantly they used them for filming locations, and that was kind of pretty much it. So I was still banging on the doors, still kind of, come on guys, come on. Then finally I went to meet him at Gloucester. So we agreed to meet at Gloucester because it was halfway between the two sites. And they had the prison there. So I went down, I actually took Graham with me, Graham Goodwin. So the two of us went down. That was quite emotional for Graham, actually. It was almost a little tear in his eye because that's where Graham started his career. So that was quite an emotional time for him wandering around, and he was able to tell me loads of facts and interesting information that they still use today on their tours. So on the Gloucester tours they run now, which is run by the staff that we recruited, we trained, we taught, we developed. They now run Gloucester. And they still use a lot of stuff on their tour that was developed by Graham and a couple of the officers that we'd recruited from Gloucester. Anyway, chatting to this guy, talking to him about how to make a successful tourism attraction out of prison, why we wanted it, how we were going to do it. And he just couldn't see it, he couldn't get it, which is absolutely fine because most people, in fact nearly everybody, thought I was fucking nuts when I first took on the jails. It decided it won't work. Everyone now goes, of course it will work, why wouldn't it work? But that's because we made it a success. So anyway, chat to him, and I was talking to him about paranormal companies and how that worked, because City and Country were not keen on paranormal companies because ultimately they look for ghosts, and at some point they're going to try and sell these places as houses. So they didn't really want the connection to paranormals. But I explained to him how much money these things generate and how it works. And that piqued his interest. So that was it, and we sort of left the discussion open to have a conversation about Shepton. And about 2 weeks later, they announced that they were going to start letting paranormals into Gloucester and Shepton. Lo and behold, they saw how much money they could make. So I was a bit pissed off. I'll be brutally honest. I was annoyed because I didn't create that industry, not at all. But I was annoyed that I'd given them the idea and said, look, this is how we will do it. This is how we'll make it work. And they just took a little bit of what we did and went, oh, we'll apply that. So anyway, so that was that. I kept banging on the door, kept going. And then 2017, I think it was February, it was end of February 2017, I just pinged off I pinged off an email to their CEO and just said, look, this is it. This is the deal. This is what I want, and I'll take over your jails, and I'll do it. I'll take them next week, type of stuff. It was kind of a throwaway email. It was literally me going, this is the last time I'm going to email you guys about this. And he went, yeah, let's do it. Cool, let's do it. Yeah, sorted. And I was like, wow, cool. Right, we're going. And that meant our company had to triple in size and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that another time. So he was like, yeah, do it. You connect to my team and get it sorted. So that was fine. So I was connecting back with the guy that I met at Gloucester, having a connection with him and talking about when we were going to take over, how it was going to happen and stuff like that. And initially he turned around and said, well, you take over, but we'll keep the paranormals and the film companies. That's not going to work. We run the tours, but you run everything else. How's that going to work? I went, no, it doesn't work like that. We take all or nothing. He went, okay, well, you do the tours and the paranormals, but we'll keep the film companies, and we'll give you a call. When we get a film company booking, we'll give you a call, and then you'll have to clear out for tours so we can come and do the film company, and you can come back for tours. I was like, that clearly won't work either, because what if you ring me and say you need the prison next week or in 2 weeks or 3 weeks? I was just like, it's not going to work. And productions are fickle business. They come, sometimes you get them and you might get a great production, you won't see anything for 2 or 3 years. So I was like, that's not going to happen, it's all or nothing. So finally he comes back to me, and it's taken another week or so, and he's gone, okay, well you can do the whole lot type of stuff. And it's like, obviously that's how the business works. When you lease a site, you lease the site and then you do everything. Like I say, he was a junior. His boss is fantastic. His boss is absolutely brilliant, and yeah, I got on quite well with him. And so that happened, and so we were looking at the dates we were going to take over, and he basically turns around to me and goes, well, you can't take over. I think we were due to take over, I think it was the end of April. I think that was the plan. This is the beginning of March now. And he said, well, you can't take over there because we've got a production in. So we want to do this production first, and then you can have it. And I knew the production he was talking about because they'd been to Recce at Shrewsbury, and it was Paddington 2. And they said that they were going to also look at Gloucester, and they were going to look at Shepton. So then, and initially, Paddington 2 wanted, I think it was 4 weeks filming. So it was quite a decent sized production. I mean, we're certainly talking, we're talking in the tens of thousands, not in the thousands. So it was decent money. So he was basically like, you have to wait for Paddington 2 to finish, because, and then you can start. I was like, this is a bit shit, really. Like, I'm having to wait for this. So anyway, so that was it, and I just kind of waited, and I found out after we took over. So they had Paddington 2 film. Paddington 2 finished, and then we took over. I think we took over like 3 days later or something like that. And I found out down the line that what had happened was Paddington 2 had done 6 or 7 recce's, because for a big film company, especially Hollywood films, do loads and loads of recce's. They did lots of recce's. They spent loads of time toing and froing, backwards and forwards, about what they could do, what they couldn't do, what they could bring in, what they couldn't bring in, so on and so forth. So that took loads of time for this guy in CNC, and that happened. And they were expecting 4 weeks worth of production, and in the end Paddington ended up filming for a day, which is about, I don't know, 1,500, 2 grand or something like that, whatever it might be. So ended up filming for a single day, and I think there is like one snippet of Shepton in that entire process, and that one piece of, I'm going to call it greed, because I think that's what it is, ended up costing nearly 6 weeks worth of time, and it didn't quite collapse the deal. I was a bit annoyed that I had to wait, but it was one of those things that what City and Country do very, very well, and I really like them, so I'm not having a go at them at all. I think this was that a guy in the organisation has had too much clout at a level in an industry he just did not understand. I mean, I just understood so much more than this guy, that he really should have just listened to me, and they'd have done so much better. And I think City and Country are great. They are really, really good. They're a brilliant housing developer. They convert some fantastic heritage buildings that if they didn't would go to ruin potentially. They do really elegant, really stylish design, really nice developments, and I really like them personally. If I lived in some of the areas that do developments, that was a different style of my life, I absolutely would buy some of that. But I think the way that they merge the heritage and the history and the preservation of a building with a modern adaptation that can take on a new lease of life is fantastic. And I think, we need more developers like that rather than just knocking stuff down and rebuilding. So I think they're great in that sense, and they do that really, really well. What they don't do is run tourist attractions, and that's what we do. What we don't do is we don't develop buildings into housing, because it's not what we specialize in. So I guess what I'm getting at is when you do what you do really, really, really well, and somebody else does what they do really, 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 really well, and you don't compete, but you complement each other, it's so important to get a good partnership and a good level of trust going, because everyone's going to benefit from that. They will, and that's kind of just what took a bit of time, and I don't really like to look back and go hindsight type of stuff. I love to learn lessons, I really do, but I don't like to have regrets. And I know that one of the things that I'd said to CNC was, had they let me take over Shepton from day one, then it would be in a very different position now. But, you know, at the same time, I can't blame them for that, because here was Joel knocking on their door with £83,000 worth of debt, no proof that he could make this happen other than just me going, I can make this work. And it took Trevor Osborne to say, yeah, go for it. But then Trevor is a natural born entrepreneur. People have said we're cut from the same cloth, which is a huge compliment to me. And he was just willing to let me to have a stab at it, and that's why it worked. Whereas, you know, City and Country are a different style of organisation. There's nothing wrong with that. They're just different. And they wanted to see it proved first. As soon as I proved it, they were happy days. But yeah, as Laurie said during that kind of chat, persistence was the key. And I think one of the biggest things I've learned in business over the last 5 years is patience. And that's really hit me in the last week. And it was I think it was last Thursday, might have been Friday. I sat down with Emma. I sat down with a whiskey in hand, and I just sat back and I just sort of breathed and trying to have a deep breath. And I went, do you know what? I don't think I've ever felt as relaxed and as at peace as I do right now. And that's actually been I think it was Friday, and that's actually been that's kind of been every day since then. I've just been like, do you know what? I feel really relaxed, really kind of just de-stressed, and really kind of at peace. I don't feel like I have to panic too much. And that's kind of kicked in, but it's taken five long years to kind of get to that stage. So yes, that's that. I know, Maurice, I know. My kids drew that. There's another one over there, but that's not quite as good. It says, to Daddy, Jonah is a stinky poo-poo, but you are a legend. So I think Delaney wrote that. So yeah. One thing I'm going to be working on in the next week, which is really cool, is I'm going to be setting up our charity. So the charity organisation, the Campbell Group, I don't want to steal the name, but I'll put it out there even though I haven't registered it yet. The Campbell Group Charitable Foundation is the plan. I've got the trustees all set, so the board of trustees set to go. I've got the aims and objectives, and yeah, we're gonna set up our charity, which I'm really looking forward to. It's something that I've spoken about a lot in the past. I've wanted to do for a long time. Emma's wanted to do it for a long time, and basically it'll be a charitable foundation that we will use to do all the charity pieces we want to do, and we will be able to match fund and stuff like that from our commercial organisations with any money that's raised and things like those. And we're not going to put too much of a restriction on what the charity can do, because I like the idea of being able to use it to do good in many, many different ways. You never know what's around the corner. So yeah, so that's kind of the next thing, to get that set up. I don't know if actually I'm not going to say that. I'm going to be involved. I'm going to be on the board. I don't know if how much the day-to-day stuff I'll be doing, but that's something for when I've set it up. I'm going to get the incubation hub set up. I think I'm going to press that for January. That is my target. The incubation hub, the investment hub, set for January. And I've got some other things following on very shortly after that. And I want to start using the extra spaces in the prisons. That's the bit that's really bugging me at the moment. It's just having empty space. I just don't like seeing empty space. I mean, we've got the cells kind of sorted, and that's a little bit different because sometimes they're full. Like this week we've got night behind bars. Tomorrow night behind bars at Shrewsbury, and then for the next 4 weeks. So all the cells will be filled. It's things like the workshops and the sports hall. We've got huge empty spaces. Workshops, sports hall, chapel, visits. They're just empty. It's Shepton. We've got loads of offices. We've got loads of offices at Shrewsbury as well. We've got the chapel. We've got the entire workshop block at Shepton. It's like 4 stories. It's massive. Just sat empty, just doing nothing. And I'm just kind of like, oh, this is such a waste. There must be things that we can do with these that, yes, will generate income, but also will help other people. Like there just must be, because they're all fine to use. They're all certified. They're all fire regulated. They're all insured, they're all ready to go, but they're just empty. I'm just like, there must be something we can start doing with these things. So yes, I need to start looking at that really, and start doing some work with Charlie and Lauren in terms of getting those used a bit more. Cheers, Laurie. My list never ends. Always developing new things. I'm desperate to get into incubation hub. I'll be brutally honest. That is something I really, really want to do. That is a massive passion for me. I've probably had that on my lists, because I've got a list of business ideas and things I want to do, and I've kept that list for years, and it's massive, absolutely huge. And some of the ideas are shit, and some of them are brilliant, and some in between. And I wanted to do the incubation hub for a long time, and I keep on my screen. I've got it here. I'll dig it out. I've got just here on my I've recorded literally right here. I'll just pull it up. Something called business success rates. I'm going to tell you now what the incubation hub is, Laurie. I've got something called business success rates, which is basically I like to keep track of the death rate. Now I call it the death rate because it's so high. It really should be the growth rate, really, I like to think, or not even the survival rate, but basically it's how many businesses close each year, just through for whatever reason. So, for example, if you have 10 businesses, this is the current rate at the moment. If you have 10 businesses start in year one, so day one, 10 businesses set up. A year later, so 365 days later, one of those businesses will have closed, and 9 may still be going. This is best case scenario. So 10% have gone. That's the death rate for year one. By the end of year 2, 30% have closed. Now 3 have gone and 7 are still going. By the end of year 3, you've now lost 5. So half your businesses have closed within 3 years. Year 4 then jumps to 60%, and year 5 jumps up to 70%. So by the end of year 5, you will only have 3 businesses surviving out of 10. It's not a huge amount. Now, people turn around and say to me, they go, yeah, but that's kind of okay, because 3 businesses survive, and that's just business. But let me put it this way: if you took 10 children, and this is going to sound really, really extreme, I know, but if you had 10 children and you turned around and said, right, there's 10 kids, and in 5 years, 7 of them are going to be dead, only 3 are going to survive, everyone would turn around and go, no, that's not right. There is something fundamentally wrong there, and we have to do everything we can to put in place the medicine and the technology and the health and the support to make sure that none of these children die. I know that's a really extreme to go to, so do forgive me for that. And that doesn't really happen in business so much. And one thing I want to do with the incubation hub is it's about drilling into why those 7 businesses fail over the 5 years. And there's different reasons. There's the reasons why businesses fail in the first year, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, the 5th year. And that does change over year on year. And what I want to do with the incubation hub is put in the support mechanisms, the things that a business needs, and all the different elements that will prevent them from collapsing. So by the time we get to the end of year 5, the incubation hub won't see 7 businesses failing and 3 businesses succeeding. It'll be the opposite way round, at the least. So you'll have 7 businesses succeeding and only 3 failing. And ultimately, I'd like to see 10 succeeding, but perfection's never possible. So if I could get to 7 and switch that figure on its head, I'd be happy. I would feel that that's a real win. So that's what the incubation hub is about. There is a position to that. There is a investment piece to that. There's an incentive piece to that, and part of that is about how the Campbell Group of companies and how we support them and how that works back and forth and stuff like that. So there is every company basically that's set up in the incubation hub. So every company that's somebody set up that we absorb into incubation hub and they come through that process and we support, we will own a percentage of that business, but it'll be a minority percentage. And as part of that percentage, we will then support them and ensure that they do not make those mistakes, and they develop and they grow through the 5 years and beyond. And because we own a small percentage, we are naturally invested into it. We are invested into the success of that business, which means we're going to work so fucking hard to make sure it succeeds. But I know that we can support, because a lot of the trouble, a lot of the problems I've been through, a lot of the things I've learned, are the same things that entrepreneurs go through day in, day out. And I know that if I'd had somebody there that I could have lent on and had support from, I probably wouldn't have, I know I wouldn't have made a number of the mistakes I did. Maurice has just said, so the incubation hub is like a babysitting service for new businesses. Not at all. The business owners, they're going to do the work. It's a support service. So if a business owner or an entrepreneur has a question, they're not sure what to do. So for example, I had, when I was first using a PR company in my first company, and I was sold by the PR company a service that was costing me thousands and thousands of pounds, and I believed that was the right way to go at the time. Had I had the ability to pick up the phone or speak to somebody that I trusted, that I had a rapport with, that had had success in the past, so I could see they had success, because I think that's a really key one. Why would you listen to somebody that's not been there, done it, lived it, breathed it, experienced it? That's, to me, that makes sense. You wouldn't learn to drive from somebody that's never driven a car. That would just be silly. And you wouldn't learn to drive from somebody that's crashed loads and loads of times. You learn to drive from somebody that's safe and knows how to do it. It's the same in business. So all those kind of things. If I'd had that person, I could have picked up the phone or had a meeting with once a week or once a month and had that discussion and said, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? They would have almost certainly, if they'd known anything about what we were doing and known anything about business, they'd gone, don't do that. That is a mistake. But also they'd have helped me with my business plan and the markets I was targeting and how to close sales. There's so many different things. Some of them are massive and some of them are tiny, but it's about the support piece. I think that's a huge thing, and you only have to look into anywhere in our society to see how support works and how it doesn't work. And I truly believe that if businesses can have more support, there will be more success. And some of that is financial, but actually not that much. It's amazing how you can start a business without a huge amount of finances and make it work. It's hard work, but it can be done. And I can prove it can be done because I've done it. So yeah, that's kind of what the incubation hub is at. Yeah, more guiding and mentoring, but also being able to bring in a team to support it. Think Dragon's Den. To me, Dragon's Den is a really good example of an incubation hub. It's just the incubation hub probably takes a little bit more risk than Dragon's Den, because we're going to be taking on businesses with entrepreneurs that haven't got failed businesses behind them. It's their first one and stuff like that. But yeah, think Dragon's Den. It's just not necessarily that we won't be investing hundreds of thousands of pounds in businesses. Sometimes it'll be tens of thousands, sometimes it'll be a couple of thousand, and sometimes we won't invest any money at all. We'll invest the support and the guidance and stuff like that. But certainly, once we are connected and invested into it, we are going to want it to succeed. We are going to want it to succeed. And if that means that somebody joins the incubation hub and that business fails and they go on and start another successful business, fair play to them. That's what I did. The hub will be based worldwide, UK-wide, Laurie, initially. I'd like to take it further than that, but yeah, UK-wide. Technology allows us to go UK-wide. We'll have two Dragon's Den without the posers. Well, I don't know about that. I like to pose. Anyone who's had a photo of me knows that. But yeah, Dragon's Den without the production around it, basically. Because that's what it is. It's a production. But all the dragons invest in lots of companies all the time. So it's just, this is one thing I want to do, but I want to make this about supporting businesses to grow, develop, and succeed. So that's the incubation hub, and I'm going to be kind of kicking it off in January as my plan. UK-wide, we'll have two actual physical bases, which obviously we'll use Shepton Prison as one, we'll use Shrewsbury Prison as another. There's obviously lots of space there, but also it's a nice connection piece to be able to ground, but we can do everything remotely. So yeah, it's incubation hub. Jesus, look at the time. I've been talking for 49 minutes. Oh, they did say about using the rest of the time, because there's not a lot left. It's a Thursday, so tomorrow, I'm going to leave it with this point. Tomorrow I've got a beast of a day. I am going into work at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to do my standard day, which will take me to about 4 o'clock. I'm going to take an hour, maybe 40 minutes to an hour, just probably go for a little walk down by the river in Shrewsbury, just have a little chill, and then at 5 o'clock I kick back into it to support Lauren and her team with Night Behind Bars, because the first one, we haven't done one for a while at Shrewsbury. So I'm going to support those guys with the start. That kicks off at 8, so when it arrives at 8 o'clock. I'll be there then till 1 o'clock in the morning with Lauren, doing different bits and pieces. Then at 1 o'clock I'm going to get my head down for 5 hours, because I'm going to be back in the prison at 6 to help with breakfast, and then I'm off for the rest of the weekend. I think though what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a airbed with me and a sleeping bag and a pillow, and I'm going to sleep in my office, which is just below where they did the public executions, in the gate lodge. So I think I'm probably going to crash at the prison for a few hours, because if I finish at 1 and I'm back in at 6, 5 hours doesn't really make a lot of sense to be driving home and driving back. I can kip in my office, and then Graham will come give me a kick at like 5:45 in the morning. Laurie, am I doing a live? I don't know. We've got so much to do tomorrow, Laurie and I. We haven't planned a live. I'll see. I'll have a look. If we do a live, it's going to be crude. It will be off our phone, and it will be it'll be off our phones, and it will be somewhere in the wing. But I don't know. We might do a short one in the restaurant when we finish. We're definitely going to do on the 19th. We are absolutely going to do a live on the 19th, a slightly bigger live, for a little bit longer. So we'll have a look at that. Laurie, you got me going now. I might drop down into the Georgian tunnels tomorrow evening. Maybe when the tours are going on. I don't see me doing it by myself at 1 o'clock in the morning. Lauren heads out at 1 in the morning. I can't see me dropping down into the Georgian tunnels by myself at 1 in the morning to do a live. I think that would really shit me up. And if I do, I don't know whether I can do it on the Shrewsbury page, because if I do it by myself, or even with Lauren, I think I'd have to do it on my page, because the swearing will just be extreme. I'll have a think about it. I'll if we're going to do it, we'll do a post onto whichever page we're going to do it, so I'll have a look. You guys do a little live. Right, I'm going to go. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back obviously next Thursday. We're number 16 next week. It's number 15. 15 weeks I've been doing this. I'll be back next week. Think of some subjects. If you've got anything specific you want me to chat about or talk about, anything that I've done so far in my 37 years, I'm more than happy to talk about. The week after, when I do my Join Joel, I think I'm going to do that live from Shepton Prison, because we're at Shepton Prison. I'm supposed to be there for, I'm just going to put my computer in. I'm supposed to be there for a ghost tour, which I think Lauren and Stacey are going to go on, but I'll be there. So I think I'll do my Join Joel from Shepton, which is cool. Laurie, if you want to hear about being a chef, then we can do that next week, and I can talk all about going through the, it wasn't a pandemic, but going through the foot and mouth and the BSE scares, because I watched that. I watched foot and mouth collapse the pub industry basically over a very short period of time, not dissimilar to COVID. And I think that has helped me through COVID, because I've recognised a lot of the same things, especially business-wise, and how to get people in. So anyway, talk about that next week. Thank you very much, guys. Stephen, I've just seen you there. So hi, sorry I hadn't said hello earlier. Guys, I'll catch you next week. And anybody that's in the prison before then.